Wall Street Journal reporter David Uberti to talk more about this. So, David, you've recently written for the Journal that energy analysts believe oil prices would have to veer far above their current levels for a sustained period to inflict true economic pain in the United States. We're about at $80 right now. So give us a sense of what you are, if oil is $100 a barrel, is that not going to inflict pain on people at pumps or people who are looking to fly for their vacations?
Like it was in the war in Ukraine, yeah.
Right. Well, so far over the course of this year, we've already had a pretty significant run up in oil prices to about $80 a barrel. That's the global pricing benchmark, as you said. That's a pretty significant run up that will affect gasoline prices for everyday Americans. Diesel prices in particular, along with jet fuel, they are actually outpacing the rise in oil in a big way over the last couple of days or so. But in order to have a sustained economic impact on the economy, to blow inflation higher in a big way that might affect the way the Federal Reserve approaches interest rates, oil might have to get to $100 a barrel or to be 90 or so for a prolonged period of time. You mentioned Ukraine, for example. Oil prices got as high as $120, $130 a barrel. So far, at least, we're nowhere near those levels. But it remains to be seen how long this conflict lasts.
David, let's talk about the markets. We saw that dip yesterday. What do you think caused it, and how are investors reacting today so far? I mean, the market's just opened, but, overall.
Yeah, yesterday was definitely a risk-off scenario. Investors were wary about seeing all of this sort of death and destruction playing out on live TV and their social media feeds. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market that is oftentimes magnified by the fact that we have these conflicting statements, both from within the White House and Trump administration, as well as from the Iranian regime, different players in the Gulf, the Persian Gulf as well. There's a lot of uncertainty out there about how long this will go, but it's really all about oil when it comes to markets and the global economic impact. And when President Trump says that this could last 4 weeks or potentially even longer, this is one of the most important choke points in the world for global energy supplies, both oil and liquefied natural gas. 4 weeks is a long time to take 1/5 of global supplies offline. If that actually plays out, this could be a very big problem.
Let me ask you about China and how they all fit into this, because 20% of China's oil comes from ships that pass through the Persian Gulf. They buy a significant portion of oil from Iran. What does this mean for them? How are they seeing this? I know they have a cushion, they have reserves, but their economy is already semi-struggling at this point. How could they factor into the decisions that are made in Washington regarding this war?
They're certainly a geopolitical wild card in this situation. As you said, they have pretty significant reserves, and in recent months, they have built up those reserves to a pretty incredible extent, preparing themselves for potential situations such as this. So at least at this point, a few days into this conflict, they are in a crunch in a big way. But the longer this goes on, as you said, they do get a significant amount of their supplies, as well as other Asian countries, of oil and LNG from the Persian Gulf. Now, all of that said, over the last several years, China has made a concerted effort to steal its economy from the potential impacts of an oil shock. They are one of the most prolific builders of renewable energy in the world. They dominate the supply chains for many of the parts and materials that go into renewable energy. That will at least blunt some potential impact of an oil shock if it actually plays out. But as you said, they're likely to have some sort of diplomatic response if oil supplies come offline. It will certainly hurt their economy the longer this goes on.
All right, David.
Yeah, really interesting, David. Thank you very much for joining us.